If you're already creating 15 goals for 2026, none of that matters if you are still dragging the version of you that doesn't have the capacity to hold the big vision for what you're creating in the brand new year. More planners aren't going to help, more strategy, more goals. If you have the same identity, you're going to show up the same. And so this is why this time of the year, actually, you could do this any time of the year, to be honest with you, but this is a great time because everyone's kind of doing a reset anyway, for you to really step into the best, highest version of you that is here and has the capacity to step into everything that you dream of and everything that you want. Hey there, I'm Tracy Matthews. Welcome to the Creatives Rule the World podcast. I'm so excited to be here today. I have creative conversations every week with leading creatives in their industries, conversations with myself about how to become a wealthy creative and really how to tap into your creative life force so that you are living not only your best life, that you have access to the abundance that is meant for you with your genius, with your gift, and everything that you bring into the world. I'm very excited because this year we're kicking off the new year over here with a really fun exercise. Now, some of you who are listening to this podcast know me from my jewelry business world at Flourish and Thrive Academy. I have a jewelry mentoring company over there. And for many years, this was a jewelry business podcast. I rebranded it about mid-year next year. And it's been so fun for me because I've been able to publish and have different kinds of conversations, which I've really been wanting to do over the past couple of years. But on top of that, the other thing that I think is really important here is that this podcast is really for creatives of all types. For years, I was being told, Tracy, your podcast is for jewelry designers, but it's actually for any type of business owner who has a creative path. And so much is changing so rapidly, algorithms and social media and how we market and content. Like I remember I was just talking with one of my clients who's now a friend, Stacey Owen, who is launching a Substack, and you're seeing over and over again, people are just really reinventing how they're marketing and showing up in their business. And that is going to be sort of a theme in this new year. We are wrapping up a 9-year. As you're listening to this, hopefully you're listening to this in 2025, and we're stepping into a 1 year. A 1 year energetically is new beginnings and new starts. So this is the time where the old version of us starts to crumble away, and it's really intentional. We have to let that part of us go, even if it's hard, even if we're quick kicking and streaming, even if we're worried about people pleasing and doing all of these things. And so throughout this past year, we've made many pivots inside of my mentoring company, Flourish and Thrive Academy. I launched multiple programs for different types of creatives, including the art of reinvention. I'm bringing some new things into the new year, including Iconic and a brand new challenge for creatives of all types, which I'm very excited about. It is called The Breakthrough, a 21-day activation to tap into the life force energy of your most creative and wealthy frequency. And I'm so excited about this. This is literally the culmination of my life's work. We're going to tap into creating an iconic, incredible vision for where we're going. One of those visions that is just so inspiring, you can't help but feel it. And then we're going to do some work around releasing old identity and old patterns that are keeping you small, and then step into support for more visibility on what it is that you're trying to create in the world. And so I'm very excited about it. If you'd like to join me, please do. I'm going to have a link in the show notes, and you'll also heard the ads before and after, so make sure that you check that out. So here's the thing. I really don't believe in resolutions. I think that they are negative. It requires us to necessarily give up something or change patterns instead of approach it from a positive way, I should say. And for years, I've been talking about this. If you've been listening to this podcast for a while, you've always heard me talk about creating a word for the year and then also coming up with intentions instead of resolutions. Now, I was a yoga teacher for part of my life, one of the chapters of my life, I should say. And we always talked about setting an intention for class or setting an intention for the year. And the reason why intention setting is so powerful is that when you intend to do something, it's coming from a place of desire instead of a place of lack and this is going to be hard, right? It's like, I really want to bring this forward. So if you have an intention, let's say to have a multiple 6-figure year in your business or a 7-figure year in your business, or you have an intention to launch a new product line, or you have an intention to get healthy, or you have an intention to, release your old money story, whatever it is, it's more empowering. So we're going to be thinking through intentions for the new year. Most resolutions do not work because they're behavior based, they're not identity based, and they're really tapped into things that you do that are like bad habits, right? So, one of the reasons why I love setting these intentions is because it really taps into that creative frequency. It's great for visionaries and founders who are ready to increase their capacity and their visibility and so much more. So if you don't have any solid intentions for the new year, I'd like for you to sit down and think about what those are right now. Because let's face it, resolutions typically die by February. You know, you say you want to give up drinking, and then all of a sudden you do a dry January, and then the second February 1st comes, you're like, okay, I'm having a glass of wine or whatever. There's no judgment. I do love my wine and all the things, but this is really about you stepping in to the person you want to become. So if I want to be, I'm going to bring this intention in from last year. Last year, one of my intentions was to be fit over 50. And if I want to be fit over 50, one of the things that I have to do is eat a better diet, eat more protein, work out regularly, right? Drink enough water, which I don't do necessarily. I'm going to have a sip right now that I'm reminding myself. Drink enough water, feel good about myself, do things that like move my body, have a taller posture, share with myself more positive thoughts as I'm aging. And, you know, I don't like the way things are changing or whatever it is. These are all things that are going to lead to my intention of being fit over 50. And I've done a pretty good job of staying fit for most of my life. And I would like to get more fit this year, which is one of my intentions. One of the biggest shifts to create a year where it is a breakthrough year for you, or that breakthrough energy, is to start with holding a very crystal clear vision, a very compelling vision, something that seems so crazy. And in last week's episode, I talked about this in depth, and I shared 2 different stories of women who 9 months ago when I met them, I helped them cast this big vision, and they both have achieved it. And they're either launching their new idea and or they're already working in it. And it's crazy what happens when you do this, because you want to get to a place where you come to tears because you are so excited about what it is that you're creating and the work that you're doing. So here's how you make that shift. First and foremost, you want to really evaluate where you are now. What is not working for you? What are you no longer available for? You know, is it certain responsibilities and people in your life? Is it you're allowing yourself to be treated? Is it something else? What are the rooms or the energy around the spaces you want to be in? What are you willing to tolerate in that capacity? So the real shift is this. It starts with you being no longer available for the energy, the patterns, the things that aren't working for you anymore. So I was recently having a situation with someone in my life where they literally just dropped a huge bomb on me. It came really out of the blue and it was completely unexpected. And I was just kind of like, look, I'm doing the best that I can. I'm not available for that kind of treatment anymore. And if that's what you're going to do, then I'm out. Like, this isn't working for me anymore. So think of all the things that are happening in your life that you're no longer available for, that's not working for you. And also things that you've tolerated. Maybe this is attached to certain behaviors that you had, because I will tell you that the reason I got this, dump on me from someone in my life was because of how I was showing up in partnership with that person or in relationship. This doesn't have anything to do with my love relationship, but just in the relationship that we were having. And it really changed things when I shifted that. It's like, I'm not available for this anymore. So if we want to work on a path forward, we can. And if not, then let's discuss like how we're going to move forward then, because this isn't working for me. So you can do that basically with everything in your life, whether it's relationships, whether it's how you're being treated, whether it's how you're treating yourself, I think is a really good thing. Like maybe how much money you're making or how you're showing up in the world, what you're tolerating. These are all good things to think about that you want to release, that you're no longer available for. The next thing I want you to think about is like, what rooms do you want to surround yourself in? And this is not necessarily just for coaches or people who are speakers and stuff like that. This is really about you surrounding yourself with the community of people that are going to vibe you up, that are going to lift you up, that are going to raise you up and help you elevate and step into the person that you're becoming. So are there people around you that aren't in that space? Meaning they're not supportive of what it is that you desire, or they make fun of you when you have, a hit in your life, you're like, oh, I'm so excited about this. And then they're just like, they want to bring you down, right? That's the same thing as the rooms that you're willing to be in or that you want to be in. And the next thing I want you to think about is as you're creating this really big vision, what does visibility look like for you? How are you willing to be seen? Because in order to do that, that's going to have to shift for you. And the level of visibility that you're willing to hold, if you're here for a bigger vision and more capacity and something more impactful, you are going to have to be more visible in most cases. So how are you going to show up in that way? And I think of this a lot, for my jewelry designers friends who are looking, a lot of people say that they want to make more sales in the new year. And if you haven't downloaded our Vision to Reality Jewelry Business Planner, I'm just going to put a link in the show notes for you. It's a really great planner. We're also having a challenge for our jewelry business owners in the January Jumpstart. If you want to check that out, I'll put a little link down there. But in this Vision to Reality Planner, one of the things that we talk about and I mentor people on over there, and my coaches do, is about visibility. Because if you say that you want more sales, but you're not willing to be visible in the places that allow you to get more sales, you're basically contradicting what you say you want with how you're showing up. So this is all about elevating you into who you want to be and what you're stepping into. So if you're driving or working heavy machinery or working at your bench or doing something that's unsafe, then I don't want you to write right now. But if you aren't and you have the space to write something down or just mark this and come back to it later after you listen to this, you can also visualize this. we're going to do a little exercise. The first thing that I want you to think through is what version of you is not allowed to come into 2026. Now, a couple of years ago, I remember I was at a healing weekend with some friends, and we were doing some self-work, or parts work, on me, where I was integrating different parts of myself. And I had this visual of me sitting at this long table, and my friend who was helping me through this process was asking like who I saw. And so there was like creative Tracy, and there was like the one who was just the fun Tracy who wants to be the visionary and like lead the party all the time. Then there was Power Ranger Tracy, and then there was also Bankrupt Tracy, because that's part of my story, right? And part of the process that I was going through was this fear and this constant deliberation about, getting back in the same situation that I was back in 2008 and 9 and 10, et cetera, when my business crashed and was going through bankruptcy. So all of us have parts of us that need to be integrated into the leveled up version of us. And this is not about you like letting go part of yourself, because if Jason were here and we were talking on this podcast, we would be talking about how integrating parts of yourself are so important. You need to integrate your shadow in order for this to make perfect sense for you. Because if you don't integrate the negative parts of yourself into who you are and incorporate them all together, there's a vacuum and you're abandoning parts of yourself. And then that whole spiral thing is going to come right back. So what version of you is not allowed to come into 2026? You can pause here if you want or come back to this later. The second prompt is, if you let yourself be radically honest, this would change everything Vision be for 2026. If you let yourself be radically honest, what would that look like? So for me, it would be speaking on 10 stages. It would be really launching my speaking career. It would be stepping into a bigger impact and mission. It would be really scaling my tool, Desire AI, which is so awesome. If you're a jewelry business owner, you definitely need to be using it. We are launching a new app in the new year. It's incredible. So let me say this again. If you let yourself be radically honest, this would change everything Vision for 2026 be. Okay, so let's move on to prompt number 3. How would you show up differently next week if that vision was already guaranteed? How would you be showing up? What would be different about you? What is the energy that you would want to bring forward? Would you be tolerating all this like BS over here? Or would you be acting differently? So we really want to get clear on this vision. We want clarity on what it is that we're creating. We want to really know specifically what it is that we want and desire. So how would you show up differently next week if that vision was already guaranteed? Now we're going to wrap this up right here because I want to keep this short and sweet and a really tight New Year's episode. So as you're thinking through these questions and as you're releasing the old versions of you, I really want you to step into and embody the energy of what is your word for the year? What are you bringing forward into this new year? And let's start casting that vision for what it is that you want to create. So I'd love to invite you to the Breakthrough. It's a 21-day vision activation. We are going to be diving deep into embodying this amazing, incredible, vibrant vision that we are creating for ourselves, and step into the person that can hold the space and hold the capacity to actually receive that. I've seen such amazing things happen when people hold a big vision for what it is that they truly desire. And the reason why sometimes people get off track is that sometimes when you're holding the space for a big vision, the calm before the storm, the positive storm, I should say, or the storm that happens in that process of letting everything go can be a little bit stressful and painful. And you're wondering, like, is this really working? And the answer is yes. When those things start to fall away, it's creating space for you to step into this newer, better, higher vibe version of you that has more capacity to receive. And I would be lying to say that it's all like manifesting or whatever you want to call it is all, rosy. It's not. And in fact, you have to take some really inspired action. This is not just about magically waving a wand and like hoping something happens. This is about you setting the intention for what it is that you want to create and then taking the steps to get there. And for those of you who are ready to not just create a big vision, but you want to build the iconic brand behind that vision and step into what is meant for you in 2026, I'm so excited to be sharing some of the things that are coming in the pipeline. I cannot wait. So if you know that you are here for it and you want to join the Breakthrough, check out the show notes. I also have a link. You're going to hear some information before and after the show. And I'm very excited to be supporting you on your journey. Thank you so much for watching this podcast today or listening to it wherever you're consuming the content. This is Tracy Matthews signing off. Until next time. Ciao for now.